My name is Juliana Matias, and today I'd like to shine a light on the subject of eating disorders, which is a mental illness with the highest mortality rate in Canada. While progress has been made over the decades on body positivity and seeing more diverse body shapes on our screens, I feel as though the conversation on unrealistic body standards has taken a back seat. The stats speak for themselves. Eating disorders have doubled since the 1960s, so clearly we aren't making any changes. Let me know if any of the following sounds familiar to you, whether it's come from your mouth or you've heard it before. You're so skinny, you should try this new workout. Have you heard of the new diet? You're hungry again? You're gonna eat that whole bowl of spaghetti. A simple comment like that can cause someone in an instant to think differently of themselves. Just one comment. A comment like that can cause someone to go home and replay those words. Look into a mirror and think that they look bigger. They feel differently about themselves. Even for a confident person, a comment like that can plant an idea and affect your actions later on. After all, that's what the idea of food advertisements are premised on. The idea of a juicy burger will plant the idea they want a burger. I think that comments on eating habits and body image work in the same way. One comment plants a seed, and before you know it, you're skipping breakfast and lunch because you think you eat too much. Before you know it, you're slowly developing an eating disorder. It's very likely that no one will ever notice or take it any seriously. Let's put something into perspective to understand the severity of an eating disorder. Approximately 1 million Canadians have been diagnosed with an eating disorder. Emphasis on diagnosis, as I'm sure that there are many other cases that never sought proper medical care. Have you ever scrolled on social media and seen how to lose fat in 7 days or healthy snacks for weight loss? Posts about workout routines, diets, and unrealistic body images are all triggers for eating disorders and the way that social media algorithms work. The more that you look at a specific type of post, the more it feeds it to you. Roughly 39% of the global Instagram audiences are between the ages of 13 to 24. Despite the fact that you need to be 13 to even have the application, we all know that there are younger audiences. Younger audiences are being exposed to this misinformation and filters, which could be the reason why 40% of 9-year-olds have dieted and even 5-year-olds are concerned with food consumption. I'd like to start off by saying that the 1 million people in this country didn't choose to have an eating disorder. An eating disorder is a challenge, not a weakness. Do you ever look forward to sitting at the dinner table with your family, calling your day's activities? Now imagine someone made you a home-cooked meal and you think to yourself that you don't want to eat or that you shouldn't eat. The thought of gaining weight takes over your mindset and you picture yourself not being able to zip up your new pair of jeans. You think to yourself what you've eaten throughout the day to try to determine if you can eat anything else. I'm describing the thought process that can be associated to someone with anorexia nervosa, which is just one type of eating disorder. Regardless of the type, someone with an eating disorder will not view eating as a form of enjoyment or fun. It will be viewed as a time of stress, anxiety, and restrictiveness. One of the most common eating disorders, anorexia nervosa, is one I'd like to go into more detail about today. Anorexia nervosa is a life-threatening mental illness that's characterized by the behaviors of maintaining an adequate weight. It generally happens throughout the ages of puberty, but can happen at any age. Its behaviors include food restrictiveness, intense exercise to compensate for food intake, and is characterized by the powerful fear of gaining weight. A sandwich to someone with anorexia nervosa will not be viewed as a good snack idea. It will be viewed as 2 pieces of useless carbs and way too many calories in between. and you can forget dessert. Imagine your friends ask you to go out and you simply don't go because you'll be embarrassed. Contrary to anorexia nervosa, a binge eating disorder is characterized by recurring episodes of binge eating. Binge eating is not overeating. A binge eating episode can include 3 or more of the following: eating very quickly, eating regardless of hunger cues, eating alone due to embarrassment, feelings of disgust, guilt, or depression. There are many different types of eating disorders, the 6 most common being anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, a binge eating disorder, pica, rumination disorder, and restrictive food intake disorder. Unfortunately, the conversation of eating disorders resonates with me as a 13-year-old girl. Not only have I seen other girls watch what they eat and struggle with food consumption, I myself have dealt with the challenge. In 2018, I noticed a shift in my mindset, where I looked differently at myself in the mirror and thought differently about what I put into my body. I was no longer the kid that enjoyed having 2 scoops of ice cream in the summertime and her favorite hot chocolate in the winter. I found myself convincing myself that I no longer needed anything sweet. I went to my once favorite restaurants and didn't order the same things I used to, generally opting for the healthier options, in my uneducated opinion. 10-year-old me didn't know what an eating disorder was, and I especially didn't know that it was so common amongst the population. I just wish that 10-year-old me was as educated as I am today. If teenagers don't know what's happening to them, how are they ever going to seek help? A common misconception is that people believe that victims have been pushed into that toxic mindset, when in reality, there are many things that can lead to eating disorders. Things like genetics, bullying, or even just going through more stress than usual. In fact, in 76% of anorexia and bulimia nervosa cases have been rooted to stressful life events or occurrences. Raise your hand if you met someone in high school who has dieted or showing prominent signs of an eating disorder. Now, how'd you react? Were you expecting it? Were you shocked? Let's look at some statistics on this topic. 35 to 57% of adults and girls have engaged in crash dieting, fasting, self-induced vomiting, diet pills, or laxatives. Have you met the 35 to 57%? Now, what can we do from the outside to help someone who's showing prominent signs of an eating disorder? Firstly, we can show care, show compassion in a non-judgmental way, and be patient. It's sad to say that only 10% of those with an eating disorder seek help, and only 35% of those that do seek help get specialized treatment. What we can't do is be critical of someone's appearance, get frustrated easily, or make them feel guilty. What I would like for this audience to take home today is to understand the severity of an eating disorder. It happens to people worldwide, so there's no strategy to prevent it. Let's face it, the body shaming, the environmental stresses, and the bullying isn't going away. Therefore, we need to be the ones educating our family and friends, helping others, especially our youth, and let's make a commitment to doing something to change the statistic. Thank you.